We're here.
Here we are. Hey, this is
nice
unusual.
to finally meet you in person.
It's unusual for us because we're not used to doing this. You guys are seeing us on the same screen here. And in case you probably already knew, like, we've had some technical issues before we've even started recording here. So we finally got everything set up.
But no dogs.
No, there's no dogs here, but there are probably other things that could we're opening for trivia night here at the Bearded Iris Brewery in Nashville. And so we're going to have a lot more information on where we are, all these other things. But we are recording this. We were going to do a live stream, but Chris and I, technical issues as always. So we're going to put this up after the fact, Chris. And here we are, Bearded Iris, talking SEC basketball.
Thank God it is SEC basketball tournament time. We are in Nashville.
Yeah, we are.
First game tips off in an hour. I'm actually going to go over to the arena tonight, watch the ball, and and we will certainly be there tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, we'll be there, and as we said, be sure to come say hello. You can yell our names. You can yell Southeastern 14. You can yell good job, ref. But as I said, you probably don't want to do that because otherwise, you're going to be the only one saying that. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So totally up to you guys. But, yeah, come say hello if you're in Nashville. We'll be there. And, again, we're here at the Bearded Iris Brewery. And we're here to talk SEC basketball. And here's what everybody wants to know, Chris, because you've got your computer in front of you. I'm pulling the technical – everything's on my computer, so I don't have my computer in front of me. But they want to know what has happened to prevent an SEC team from getting in the tournament, or has anything changed? We're going to do a bracketology probably tomorrow, just so everyone knows. But,
I'm glad you asked. I've got my computer in front of me, all the scores for today, which I need to check. But I will tell you that heading in today, nothing has changed. No bids have been stolen.
Well, that's not what we wanted to hear, Chris. No one wanted to hear that.
You want drama?
You're giving the drama. Like, give us Vanderbilt's in.
That's what people want to hear.
Well,
not convinced of that yet, but
here's the deal, right? We keep talking about this, and here's the question I'm getting asked a lot on Twitter as we're recording this. Mississippi State. I don't know if beating Florida is enough at this point.
It's going to depend on what everybody else does. You see my handy chart.
I know.
The audience, the one that makes you dizzy.
If you guys could see what I'm looking at right now with this chart, because I never get to see this in person, but the fact is I'm looking at it right now, and I kind of want to go back to our separate screens.
Is this as impressive as you
so
imagine?
I don't have to see this chart in front of me right here, but yeah, I mean, look, Mississippi State's the team that I think is very interesting because I don't know that they are officially in if they beat Florida. I mean, if they beat Alabama, they're 100% a lock. But if they don't, then I don't know.
Well, here's who they're competing with. Probably behind them, Michigan, Arizona State, Oklahoma State, Utah State, Vandy, North Carolina, Oregon. Probably right in front of them, that looks like at the moment, Rutgers, Penn State, Wisconsin, Nevada, North Carolina State. So you're going to watch, as we've said this many times, you're going to want to watch the Big Ten tournament a lot. You're going to want to watch the ACC tournament some. You're going to want to watch the Mountain West. You're going to want to hope that bids are not stolen. Like, for example, Charleston won the Colonial, which I don't know that Charleston would have gotten in ahead of Mississippi State. I don't think it would have.
Yeah.
But you just never know what the committee's going to think. And so when you saw them, Oral Roberts, I think Oral Roberts would have been a long shot. Both those won their conference tournament championships on Tuesday night. And so that if you want to sleep a little bit easier, if you're Mississippi State or Vanderbilt, there's a nice starting point.
Well, we'll see. That's the hot topic right now. Obviously, heading into the SEC tournament is asking that question: who needs to do work? But I think we would also agree. We've talked about this before. Is I think when you look at it, you have Auburn, Arkansas, even Kentucky. I saw Kentucky move up to a 5 today. Somebody moved them up to a 5.
They're not dropping out.
No, they're not dropping out. But if you're talking about moving up seeding wise, I think Kentucky. I mean, if they can, let's say they win the SEC tournament, Kentucky, they're a 5 seed probably, right?
Yeah, I don't know if a 4 is possible. Kentucky's it does have the sweep of Tennessee, which is a big thing. It's got a win over A&M. wins over Arkansas, Mississippi State on the road, Auburn, and Michigan for what that's worth. I mean, you stack together. That would have to start with Vanderbilt, which is a nice win. I don't know if it's a great win.
Yeah.
But it helps. And then, A&M would be game number 2 probably, or Arkansas, Auburn, depending on who comes out of there. And then top getting a 4 if that's how it goes.
We'll see. I don't know if I'm sold on that, but we'll find out. I think if they win the tournament, though, there's a good chance they're 100% locked to be a 5. And if they move up to a 4, like we said, it depends on everything else got to happen for me to believe that's going to happen. But think about where they were 3 weeks ago.
When we thought they might not be in
where
the
they are
tournament
now.
at all.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the big difference. So I think you look at it from that standpoint. So,
Pitt's beating Georgia Tech. That's a team that probably
yeah.
I don't know that a loss would have knocked Pitt out.
But that helps Vanderbilt, right? Because they got to win over Pitt.
Maybe.
It doesn't help that much. But
I had Pitt, let's see, 36 to the last 4 seed. I mean, the last 9 seed. I don't think Pitt was going anywhere, but
yeah,
you don't really want to lose to Georgia Tech and have to have a nervous selection Sunday.
You don't want to do that. So
what have we got in the Mountain West tonight?
I mean, look, this is basically our bracketology, guys. We were going to do a bracketology for Thursday. We may still do that, but if nothing changes, this is basically what you're getting here from Bearded Iris. So the bracketology at Bearded Iris.
Okay, all the Mountain West games of significance are going to be starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
So other things we look at on the bubble, let's see. Really, most of it's tomorrow. Again, Pitt played today. West Virginia, Texas Tech today. Now, that might be one to watch. I need to flip over to the 12 scoreboard because that's going to be a place where, again, you're going to want to watch some things.
Yeah. By the way, again, we are doing this live, so if our audio doesn't sound as great, Chris and I are using the same mic, so we're like doing this, and so we're being able to kind of trying to get our audio sweetened and all that. So we're going to do the best we can when I go back and do it. But again, we're live, baby. And so we're live in our world. We're not live on the internet. So you have to keep that in mind. But yeah.
Yeah, Texas Tech and West Virginia is one I'm watching tonight. I think West Virginia is in right now, but could a loss to Texas Tech change things? Maybe that would give West Virginia 14 losses. Oklahoma State, I'm sorry, I don't really see it with Oklahoma State.
I think they're
like
out.
Joe Lenardi and some people do as much, but that's one. Lose to Oklahoma, that's probably it. So these are some things that you're watching Wednesday night in the SEC. And if you're watching this Thursday morning, check to see how these things panned out.
Yes. Some of you will be watching this Wednesday night. Some of you may be watching this on Thursday. So keep that in mind in terms of what the actual results are in these games. So let's not forget that. I am going to move the microphone a little bit closer now, Chris. That way, like, I'm going to do the full-on like this to make sure our sound gets there.
Right.
I'll hold this for like 10 minutes, and then I'll go back like this. So what else we got? So, I mean, again, Wednesday night games, we've already done our predictions on those. So I don't know how much is going to change no matter who wins those games. I think we're kind of set. We will have our predictions for Thursday's games. Those will be up Thursday morning. I know you guys are used to getting that days in advance, but we don't know who's playing all the Thursday games yet. So we can't do the recording. We could have done Auburn and Arkansas, I guess, and Mississippi State, Florida, but we decided not to, just to wait until the full set of, what is that, second round games? There's so many rounds. Like, you got to go first round, second round, quarterfinals. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are. So we'll kind of weigh in more on those games Thursday morning. So again, if you're watching this Thursday morning, look, the second round. I keep confusing myself. Like, the second round game predictions will be up. The first round is officially the play-in games, right? The Wednesday night games. So that's where we'll be at looking at those. But I mean, what are the other big storylines heading into this tournament that we haven't talked about to this point?
Well, you know what we haven't hit? Who wins the whole thing?
Well, I don't know if should I make those picks now? Like, I kind of like to reserve the right to be able to, wait a little bit and maybe not do it now. And
kind of like when you did your draft.
Well, look, I don't like to, be a person who doesn't make picks and stalls by any means, but if I have to, I will. Let's just get that out there. So let's make that clear. But here's how I see it. Okay, and we're gonna do like we said, we're gonna do our predictions for each day. So I have the right to change my opinion on this,
Right.
because I would never do that, but I have the right to. So right now, you tell me if you agree with this. I don't know how you couldn't agree with this, and you guys tell us in the comments if you agree with this. So the bottom part of the bracket is definitely the chaos part of the bracket,
Yes.
because you've got Texas A&M as the 2 seed, you've got Auburn and Arkansas, you've got Vanderbilt. Whoever wins that game at least has a little momentum. They've proven they can win a game, and you've got Kentucky. So I have no idea what combination you're going to get in the semifinals there, and that's why I feel like I revert to Kentucky at the bottom, because I think when you just look at what the fan support's going to be, let's be honest, there's going to be 1 million Kentucky fans in Nashville. They're not all going to get in the building. They're all going to try to get in the building. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, all their games are going to be home games, which they've lost at Rupp a little bit this year. So maybe it's, whatever. But the top part of the bracket, I feel like it's very predictable. Give me Alabama versus either Missouri or Tennessee, and that's all I got.
Yeah.
But like the bottom part, I don't even know where to begin, because I think there's any combination of those teams could be there at the bottom.
Well, look, if Arkansas or Auburn, if the winner of that game gets all the way there, does that surprise you? No.
No.
If Vanderbilt can stay on the heater for a couple games, does that shock you? No. I think Vanderbilt is, I don't want to say living on borrowed time without Robbins, but it was hard to win those games with him that they just won. It's going to be harder to win without him. How long that can last, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you ever really bet against Kentucky in this event? No.
No.
Do you want to bet against Texas A&M in this event? I really don't. That's probably the team I feel best about right now.
Well, I mean,
other than Alabama.
The thing with A&M is, like, what do they rely on? They rely on the free throws. We've talked about this. They've got to get to the free throw line. But I also think we don't give enough credit for the fact that they can also do other things that don't require having to score from the free throw line. That's how they've done it. But like, they have guys who can score, so I don't think we can discount that fact either. So, yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it overall, if I had, let's say, how about this? Let's do this. If we had to power rank the winners of this tournament, 1 through 4, you're power ranking who you think is going to win, and you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of the teams I trust the most. All right, I'll start. I'll go Alabama at 1.
Yes.
Because I'm sorry. I know they haven't played well the past couple weeks, but because the SEC is so unpredictable, I want to take the predictable. And to me, Alabama's the most predictable team because they've been the best team, and they haven't had those bad stretches that some of these other teams have had. So I think you're power ranking Alabama at the top. Number 2, I guess you're like, is it A&M? I mean, is it that simple? Like,
well,
or is it Kentucky? I don't know. So, by the way, I'll give you some more insight on this here in a second, folks. The first time ever, I'm pretty sure.
Drinking on air.
On air, but hey, we're here at Bearded Iris, so I'll give you some more insight.
All right. Tell me if you think this is fair. I think if you just take the names off the jerseys, who's done what of late, it's A&M.
I would agree with that.
Can you take the name off the jersey anytime Kentucky is playing in the SEC tournament?
Well, maybe not, but yeah, that's fair. I think that's a fair point. And so
here's the other thing I was going to say. If you give me 4 teams,
yeah,
you're taking Alabama and then 3 from the bottom half, right? Because I'm not taking a second team in the top half if I'm given 3.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Because then if you wanted to pick Missouri or Tennessee, you would have to say they're going to beat Alabama. And if I'm picking Alabama at the top, that's probably not the right. You're right. That's a good point. So Alabama 1, Texas A&M 2, and you guys can clip this afterwards.
Kentucky would have to be in the top 4.
Yeah, when none of these teams make it to Saturday in the semifinals, you guys can clip this and share it all over Twitter. But I think for now, I think Alabama, A&M, Kentucky. I could swap the order, in my opinion.
I think I know who I'll take as my 4th. I think I do, and I think it would be Tennessee if Tennessee was not in the top half.
Well, I would agree with that, but
I'm going to go Arkansas just because you just don't know.
Ooh, the Hogs.
You never know.
Chris is pandering to the audience here, but it's fine. We do that a lot. But yeah, I think that's kind of the fair question. You said earlier, I think the winner of Auburn, Arkansas can definitely even though we're really confident in A&M, I think the winner can go on and beat A&M. Because remember what these two teams need right now, Auburn and Arkansas. They're looking for confidence. They're looking for momentum. Now, Auburn got that at the end of the season because they beat Tennessee. But Arkansas does not have hardly any momentum right now. So if you give them a little life, right, and they get going, let's be honest, the must too. The must nuts.
The must nuts.
I had to tell the must nuts story. I blame you guys who are watching this right now because some of you today, when I was on Power Mizzou with Gabe DeArmond and Drew King, you guys went in there and forced them to make me tell the must nuts story. You did that today. You guys did that. So keep that in mind. All right. But if you give them a little momentum, I think that's what you don't want to do with a team that talented. Chris is still laughing at the must nuts story, but
I'm going to have to pull that one up now.
It's fine, but I had to. The guys sent in questions. I had to answer, and that was one of the questions. Make Blake tell the story. So I did. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where we are with that. But I don't disagree with you. I think Arkansas, if they beat Auburn, you let them get going, get Nick Smith back in a rhythm, get that chemistry back together with all these guys. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the spark they need is to beat Auburn, and then they go off like they do in tournament time. But I think I want to see it first. Auburn's, again, they got some momentum back beating Tennessee. So
I feel like we tried to get on board with Arkansas all year. We tried, and every time we jumped, they sort of let us down.
Yes, we've tried all season, but it's not come together. And like I said, I think Arkansas is one of those teams that, let's be honest, they're going to get seeded as a 8 or 9 seed probably. Is that what we're thinking right now? Probably 8 or 9. I don't know that the resume right now supports that. And I think that's what's interesting about them. And I'm not saying – you guys know I've been high on Arkansas. I picked them on Team Blake versus Team Chris, which, by the way, Chris, that vote was 65-35 at one point. It's about 54-46 now on Twitter.
Who did you bribe?
People are coming back to my direction here. But I don't know. Like Arkansas, the two wild cards in this tournament to me, I think there are two very clear wild cards. I think it's Tennessee and I think it's Arkansas. I think those are the two teams that if they get going and play at their best, would I be shocked if Tennessee and Arkansas are playing in the championship of this tournament? No, I would not. And so I think that's something we have to remember here as we go into it. So
okay, we've had this Arkansas discussion, and you can look at my cluster of a sheet in front of me.
Listen, guys, we want you to come to Bearded Iris, but if you do, just know that you're not going to have to look at Chris's spreadsheet right here on his computer because you don't want to do that, all right?
Your eyes will cross.
You don't want to do it at all. I have to do it right now. I'm going to turn away so I don't have to.
But look at this. We talk about Arkansas, and you look at how it stacks up with the teams around it and the predictive metrics. I mean, there's nothing out of place about putting Arkansas as a 9 seed. You can see the teams I've got around them.
I know it's the predictives. It's the predictives.
Well,
I know.
No, it's not just the predictives. The resume metrics have them is a 9 seed.
Yeah. Well,
so
I'm getting asked this question a lot, and
I get it because you look at the 19 and 12. You look at who they beat, but there's something. Arkansas has created some sort of secret sauce in its tournament profile that it kind of like blends in with everybody else in that range.
The secret sauce. All right. Well, this is like Space Jam point of Arkansas season where they need Michael's. What was it? Secret sauce? Is that what it was?
I haven't seen that in a long
Bugs's?
time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys will tell us in the comments. I have no doubt. But so I think that's going to be interesting when you look at those teams and. We'll find out. We'll see kind of how it plays out, and I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting here. So
it's kind of an aside because what we're doing, you're watching for those tournament sleepers. I mean, there's been some interesting teams that have gotten auto bids so far. Kennesaw State story is very interesting. One game 2 years ago.
They did, yeah.
2-0 in quad 2, so they beat somebody. I guess they beat Liberty twice. Yeah. Louisiana out of the Sun Belt is top 100 team in the predictive computers. Furman. How about Furman? First time ever in the tournament.
Go Furman.
Bob Ritchie's team. Going to be a hot name in coaching maybe.
Yeah, he will be. He absolutely will be.
UNC Asheville is 25-7. Northern Kentucky. I don't know that anybody out of the Horizon or the OVC or the Northeast is going to do damage. It's kind of interesting. And I think it always makes for a better tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
When you don't see a 15-17 team winning these one-bid leagues, but you're seeing some teams that have piled up 23, 24, 25, 26 wins. And yeah, I think that's going to make for an interesting. Now, I don't know who I'm going to pick these teams to win for an upset, but that's the fun. Is one of these teams always does.
Somebody will do it. We just don't. Yeah, that's the part. When you're picking a bracket, you don't know who it's going to be. So that's the issue. And yeah, we'll see kind of how it plays out.
But if you're starting to do your bracket research, and maybe even Drake's Missouri values, it's just not a it's a little higher profile league, but they're just getting one bid.
Yeah.
Kennesaw State, Louisiana, Furman, UNC Asheville, all teams you may want to start taking a glance at and say, do you have the guts to pick those teams in my bracket?
Yeah. Well, matchups matter when the bracket comes out, as we always say. And again, we want to reiterate, we are at Bearded Iris here. Nashville's home for beer that is unapologetically itself. You liked how I got that word in, and I didn't even skip a beat when I said that. But yeah, it's just a fun place to drink. It's just a lot of good stuff here, and that's why we're doing this again. You guys are coming in for the SEC tournament. We are at the Sylvan Supply location, and they've also got another location downtown, so you can check that out when you come in. Just pull it up on your phone. Pull up and say, hey, Bearded Iris, get me there to Bearded Iris. That's all you got to do, right?
And tell them Southeastern 14.
Yeah, let them know that we sent you. That's what we're doing here.
And guys, this is a cool area of town.
Oh, yeah.
It's not off the beaten
path. We're at the Sylvan Supply location, so we're outside of downtown.
You don't have to worry about parking or traffic.
Great.
There's shopping and all kinds of cool stuff around here. It's not far away.
Yeah.
This is a really neat place.
Wide variety, IPAs, all of that. They've got select, fruited sour stouts, hard new seltzer. They've got it all here, and we do appreciate them, the fine folks, letting us come out and do that here. And yeah, I mean, they've got we're at the Sylvan Supply location, so the Black Dynasty Secret Ramen House here, wide variety, comforting bowls of, meaty, and they've got vegan-friendly ramen stuff here. So house-made noodles, all kinds of stuff, seasonal sides, salads, desserts, you name it, it's all here at Bearded Iris. So again, when you come into town, you're looking for somewhere to go, Bearded Iris. Type it in, and you will find it. Again, one of their multiple locations here. And yes, be sure to type it in, find the one that works for you. And again, we appreciate the fine folks here for letting us come out and do this. So hopefully we'll be back again here in the near future. So, all right.
Blake, I'm going to throw something your way. I'm going to throw you a small curveball. It's coaching change season. We got some stuff, maybe not going down at Ole Miss. We'll get into that another time.
Mm-hmm.
But Syracuse today, Jim Boeheim has said he's
adios,
stepping down or being
pushed
out or whatever. I didn't see the press conference, but
he's out of here.
Are there any dominoes from the Syracuse vacancy that affect anything in the SEC?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I don't know who's going to get that job. I mean, I guess if you're looking at it, it's a Northeast type job. So, I mean, who are the guys you even think? Well, I mean,
Mike Hopkins was going to get it for years, and then he went to.
Yeah, he's at Washington.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's always a possibility, I guess, if you're him. But I don't know. Like, I think that's going to be an interesting one because, look, you're going to have what jobs, and we're going to forget some jobs here, but like SEC-wise, we know we've already got an opening, but that's probably filled at this point. Let's be honest. Ole Miss probably got a new coach, and it's probably going to be Chris Beard. And as we're recording this, I would be surprised if it's not. My guess is as soon as they lose their SEC tournament game, he will be named the new head coach. That is just my opinion. Not saying it's going to happen, but I think it's a really good possibility. So if we consider that, are there going to be any other coaching changes in the SEC this season?
Well,
I mean, look.
Depends on whether you include Texas as the SEC.
I was going to say, that's the one you got to think of. Like with Cal at Kentucky, the Texas situation is interesting because, look, they're going to be a what seed?
2.
To be a 2 seed. So what do you think that Rodney Terry's thinking right now? All this discussion about how, hey, who's going to be the new head coach of Texas? Well, I don't know. I'm just the guy that led him to a 2 seed. It's like, what else do you want to do? Are you going to be a 1 seed?
Man, got chaos here at the Bearded Iris. I don't know. To me, probably what happens, because this is how everybody has business. Let's say he takes him to the Final Four. Well, Rodney Terry's our coach.
I mean, look,
if they face plan in the round of 32, then that probably goes up the window. There's no appetite for it, and that's just how we do things.
I'm just saying, I think if you're Rodney Terry, you're looking up right now and you're wondering, I have done this amidst all this stuff. But here's something I want you to think about, okay? Think about this scenario. How many years are we away? 1 year away? Are we 2 seasons away or 1 year away from Texas joining?
They won't be here next season, but
All right.
when we're sitting in Bearded Iris in 2025 doing our SEC tournament live stream, the Longhorns will be part of it.
Do you know what we should have done? Chris Beard is going to be the next coach at Ole Miss. We are at the Bearded. I mean, I think it all sort of panned out here.
It all lined up.
It should be a sponsor segment, but we'll see. But think about this, though. Think about this idea that if Rodney Terry keeps the job, okay, and Chris Beard's the next coach at Ole Miss, Texas comes to town, and let's say Texas is struggling, then it's like you got that issue where it's like it's almost like the Bruce Pearl thing, right? When Tennessee fans were upset and they
come back.
Like all of a sudden here he comes, and you got Ole Miss in the top 10 in the country. So, but again, we'll dive more into that, guys. That's a more complicated discussion.
Because,
I don't know.
And this is all off. What other big jobs are going to be open?
Well, I mean, all right. So if we take the list here. Think about, Georgia Tech.
Louisville doesn't make a change after a year.
I wouldn't think so, but they can't do that.
It was bad. They won 4 games.
Yeah, you would have to believe there's some jobs in the ACC, I think, that are going to become available. I don't know exactly what those jobs are, but they're going to become available. Georgia Tech's one I know has been mentioned. Yeah. But again, you compare that job to other jobs. I don't know. Notre Dame, we already know is going to be open because Mike Bray's not there. So. But he's going to keep coaching. What else? Possibilities, I assume. Georgetown. Is Georgetown going to make a move? I have no idea. St. John's.
Georgetown should make it.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of who else in the ACC that I'm just not thinking of.
Well, let's pull it up here.
None of the heavy hitters are going to make a move.
Clemson wouldn't be making a move for not making.
Oh no, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't think so though. I can't imagine. He's been there forever. How many times has he avoided that scenario?
How old is Leonard Hamilton now?
Leonard Hamilton is I think he's 70-something. Look that up. I need to know the answer because I had this discussion with someone.
I want to say 73 or
a couple days ago. He's 70-something going on 40. Leonard Hamilton looks the same as he has for 30 years.
74 years.
74 years old? You're telling me Leonard Hamilton is 74?
He'll be 75 in August.
You can't tell me that guy looks a day over 40. He is aged better than any of us can ever hope to age. So they're not going to fire him. Now, if he retires, that's obviously the question, which don't get Missouri fans started on that because that turns into the Dennis Gates discussion. And as I've told you and as I've told people on Twitter, Missouri's a better basketball job than Florida State. Yes. So absolutely, 100%. I would not. And that's not to knock what Leonard Hamilton's done, but that is all I'm saying. Missouri's a better job, and he's in a better spot than he would be, I think, going to Florida State and trying to, unless it just became, whatever. But I don't think Dennis Gates go anywhere. They'll pay up. They should pay up and get him, a bigger contract, which as I talked about today, Chris, you know what happens if he gets a bigger contract? It means I get a little more piece of the pie there. So,
you know one, I'll give you one out of the blue that I'd keep an eye on is Oklahoma.
That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one.
I don't know that from what I've heard that's the best fit between Fort Moser and Oklahoma. It's not gone super well. They're going to make they're not even going to make the NIT right now. I don't know if there's some kind of a parting of the ways, but that's one that I might watch if not this year, next if it doesn't get better.
But I guess here's the deal. If we take the SEC coaches right now, who do we think are the guys that would jump to the big job? And I don't know what the big job's going to be. We don't know it's Texas right now. But if there's another big job, again, I don't know why if you're Nate Oates, right? Why are you leaving out? You got a number 1 seed. I think that's past at this point. There's no reason to put him in that discussion, in my opinion, unless it's just money, like we talked about. That's a money situation. I can't see it. I don't see that happening. Bruce Pearl. Remember, the last time we did this was UCLA, right? It was Barnes. It was Bruce Pearl. So you had the Tennessee and Auburn tie-ins. But is there anybody else I'm just not thinking of? Buzz isn't going anywhere.
Here's one that I always watch is if the NBA comes calling for Jerry Stackhouse. And admittedly, that is a much easier sell, I think, to an ownership group after the season that they've had and the way they've ended the season. He got Coach of the Year. by the coaches. And so that is one that, and that might not happen for a couple of months. Probably won't happen at all. But that's one when you start thinking, because this is not a year where there's a lot of obvious coaching changes. The one that we've suspected for a while is open and maybe even closed as we're doing this. And so I don't think that because let's look at everybody else. You tell me, other than Kentucky, and I would have to think that's gotten a little better. Kentucky
better than it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, remember what Kentucky. Certainly Alabama, A&M.
Alabama A&M or Alabama and A&M? I'm sorry, but I don't know the Alabama A&M coaching situation.
And Texas A&M.
I apologize. I don't know the answer to that, but
Kentucky is its own category.
Yeah.
Tennessee, if Rick Barnes loses a first-round game again, not that he's going anywhere, but that will start back up.
Tennessee fans got to be careful with that. I'm just saying. They got to be careful running Rick Barnes out of town, because I think you've seen before, if you're a Tennessee fan, that sometimes it doesn't always work out. And, so be careful with that.
Dennis Gates, I think, is going to be nominated for president of Missouri.
Don't worry, Missouri fans. I'm not going to let him go anywhere.
All right.
It's all good.
We discussed Fandy. Bruce Pearl's not going anywhere. Todd Golden, second-year Florida, maybe missed the mark a little bit, but
he's not going anywhere.
No, he's not going anywhere.
So, everybody's –
Chris Jans has got just Mississippi State.
Jans is in good shape.
Mike White, second year at Georgia. I think Lamont Paris did a respectable job at South Carolina. They're not going anywhere. Ole Miss made a change. LSU is the one that you mentioned.
That's an interesting one, although I think LSU fans need to calm down a little bit, because I've heard it on Twitter. They're getting a little restless with Matt McMahon already, but come on. Think about this, Chris. Think about the discussion we had. As soon as he took that job, what did we say? He had no roster, basically. And, recruiting and all that, think about just there was a lot of baggage around the program. The optics of the whole situation. I think we have to remember that. And so don't forget that, LSU fans. I know you don't, but just keep it in mind. I think that's something you have to remember. So, and we said, I think they played the toughest 12-game stretch I've ever seen in SEC play. Their first 12 games were the toughest I've ever seen in that scenario. So let's not forget that either. So he should not go anywhere. I don't think you can make that move after one season. I get that they should not have went 2-16, but that's where I think he could use a nice win against Georgia just to kind of ease that up a little bit, right?
Which I think he'll get.
I think we both predicted that. So if you're watching this on Thursday morning, you know that hey, we were either right or we're wrong, and you know which one the better option of that probably is going to be, given Chris and I making picks. So Georgia probably won by 20.
I'm looking at other leagues and who could make a move. Let me look at the Big Ten for just a minute.
All right, while Chris is doing that, I'm gonna give you a little more information here. As we said, we are at Bearded Iris. We talked about a lot of great stuff here. Sylvan Supply location. Again, if you're coming into town for the SEC tournament, all we ask of you, if you're like, hey, I need somewhere to go before the game, after the game, whatever, we just need you to think. Power rankings. We do our power rankings every week. At the top of your power rankings of where you need to go is Bearded Iris. So put that in, plug it in. Like I said, there's a couple locations. Whichever one fits where you are, do that. We're at the Sylvan Supply location. And again, they got a lot of great stuff here. All kinds of IPAs, DIPAs. They got it all, folks. It's all here. Check it out. Fruited sour stouts, hard new seltzer. As we said, where we're at, the Black Dynasty Secret Ramen House, it's here too. You can get a lot of good stuff there food-wise. So be sure to check it out. And, yes, we appreciate them sponsoring us here this month at Southeastern 14. So
I was going to say, and this doesn't really have SEC relevance, Chris Holtman at Ohio State might be one to watch.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see. But I think it's an interesting discussion we'll have after the season in terms of some of these coaching changes. Texas is the domino, right? If they're like, hey, we're not sticking with Rodney Terry, everything we just said the past 10 minutes is off the table, because then who's the big coach if it's not Cal that leaves for Texas, right? And then what kind of domino does that start? But I think a lot of SEC guys are going to be at the top of Texas board. If you really think about it, if they had to make their list, I don't know that Muss would be as high on that list anymore, just based on Arkansas this season. Now, I don't know that one season should knock you off of that, but I'm just saying, and I don't think he would leave Arkansas for Texas. But I'm just pointing out. I think that's something to think about.
Who do you target if you're Texas, and it's not your interim, Rodney Terry?
I mean, by the way, I know it's getting dark here, but like we're setting the mood. Like the SEC tournament has started, folks. Like it is time. Like this is the mood that we're setting. It's time to get excited. So, who would you target if you're Texas? Who's your first call? Pull up go to KenPom, pull up the top, give me the start. Like, I mean, Kelvin Sampson, I would probably be my first call, but I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't. Why should he leave? Other than money. Now, money, let's remember, Texas has got money, folks. So let's not forget that. But, I mean, who else? Like, if you go down through there, I'm looking at your list here. Like, it's not going to be Mark Few.
No, here's one I'm wondering about. I don't think he'd leave there after 2 years.
Nah, he's not going anywhere. Tommy Lloyd's not going anywhere from Arizona. Here's one.
Bring back Shaka.
You want to call Shaka Smart at Marquette. How about that?
You're having a great year.
What about that? Call Shaka. See if he's available.
Scott Drew?
I don't think that's happening. Now, I would if I were Texas, but I don't think that's happening. Why would you not? I mean, he would be at my top of the list anywhere.
Here you go.
Sean Miller at Xavier. Wow. How about that one? Well, I don't know if he could do that to him, right? He just came back.
This is his home. They gave him a second chance.
I don't think he can do that to them this early.
That'd be bad optics, but, I'm not sure coaching searches are sensitive to bad optics anymore.
That's why I was laughing. Like, let's be honest, optics have nothing to do with it when it comes to coaching searches. So, we'll see, guys. I really think you're going to see if Texas makes a move. It says Rodney Terry's out.
Oh, here'd be
SEC guys. Buzz. It's not going to be buzz.
You go rate A&M for buzz.
It's not going to be buzz, but I think it's interesting to think about. So,
there really, as you look through this, and we're looking.
There's really not. Yeah.
30. There's not a lot that you're like that makes a ton of sense.
No, there's not. Honestly, the guys that make the most sense are in the SEC.
Yeah.
Like really, when you think about it, and that's why I think SEC fans are worried, is because the guys that do make the most sense are in this league. So, the initial list that everybody put out was who? It was Cal, Oates, Muss, Pearl. Those were the four guys that everybody ran with. But you know what? It was very similar when UCLA came open. So, I mean, it was just kind of the same thing. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll talk more about coaching search. But all right, Chris, here's what we're going to do. We're getting into the grand finale stage here, okay? And we're going to wrap up here shortly. But we're going to go through each of the SEC tournament. Now, again, we're going to make our picks each day based on how the bracket pans out, okay? So we're just giving you these up front because the tournament has not started yet as we're recording. But so we will change. We reserve the right to change our picks once we get to the game days.
So pull out a bracket.
Pull out the bracket here. All right. So I'm going to give you a couple questions, and it's not necessarily going to be game by game. It's going to be looking at, all kinds of stuff here. All right. So as we wrap up, here's what we got. I'm going to ask you first. Give me. Nah, this is too easy this year. It's too easy this year. All right, give me the 8 seed or lower that can get to the championship game. This is too easy this year.
Arkansas.
Of course, it's Arkansas. They put us in this position. All right, so Arkansas.
All right, I'm going to give you one.
All right, bounce it back.
Wednesday night play-in game of the 4 teams who can make a run and get to Friday.
By the way, it's the Wednesday night sadness. If you ask our friend Hunter Johnson.
Because in the teams here, South Carolina and Ole Miss, Georgia playing LSU.
The team. Now, how did you phrase it again?
The team of those 4 that can win 2 games. Another one that's win tonight and then win tomorrow.
This is going to be crazy to say, but I think it's LSU.
I do too.
They're the last place team, but I think it's LSU
because I think LSU's going to beat.
They
Georgia
match
anyway,
up better with Vanderbilt.
They just beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
In Baton Rouge.
No Robbins for Vanderbilt. I think LSU matches up better. So
KJ Williams scored 194. I think the last time they played.
194. Well, we'll see. But all right. So how about this? Of the top 4 seeds, I think this. I don't want to call this easy. I apologize, but of the top 4 seeds, who's most likely to lose on Friday? I think this is like I mean, look, Missouri fans, you're the 4 seed, you're playing the 5. I think it's probably Missouri because Tennessee's there. And Tennessee could have just as easily been the 3 seed in this tournament. So I will say that as Tennessee would be my pick. Unless you think it's A&M.
Well, it's not Florida, Mississippi State. I think Vandy can beat Kentucky, but we also just said LSU's got a chance to hit a heater there.
Yeah.
I really don't want to pick against A&M right now, although Auburn, Arkansas, that's it's got to be Tennessee beating Missouri.
All right. Well, again, that's good news for Missouri fans.
It's not going to be an upset. According to whatever the odds makers put out there, it'll just be a seeding upset.
It's good news for Missouri fans. So, all right. Let's see. What else? What other questions you got? And then we're going to pick our winners in a second. We're going to do our official tournament picks to wrap it up. But before, I want you to find a question for me.
Find a question.
Find a question for the bracket. By the way, you can tell this is like we're officially an audio podcast at this point because if you're watching this and you're enjoying the blending of the faces, that's fine. But it's our own fault, guys.
Blake
again.
After Dark.
Yes, this is what this is. It's Blake After Dark. Cheers, everyone. But like, remember, as we said, technical issues. Guess who? We forgot our light. Like we again, guys, think about this. Think about how often are we out in the wild, right? Like that's what Chris and I are right now.
Never.
We're never out in the wild, but now that we are, we forget things. So we're having fun with this. You guys will have fun with it in the comments, I'm sure.
All right, tournament MVP.
Not named Brandon Miller. Let's make it. All right.
Not named Brandon Miller.
Not named Brandon Miller. Tournament MVP is going to be. All right, let's make this better. Tournament MVP, not named Miller or Sheboy. Because I think you could argue, based on their numbers, I feel like you could put those in similar categories.
Yeah.
So let's pick somebody else out of the blue, tournament MVP. I will go. I've got one. Antonio Reeves.
Okay. Wade Taylor the fourth.
I like that one too. I'm going to go Antonio Reeves because I think if Kentucky makes a run, he's the scoring option.
Okay, I got one for you. This is projecting.
All right.
Projecting a lot. Team that is going to be most disappointed on Selection Sunday, team that is going to be most pleased. Now that can mean a lot of things. That could mean disappointing, could be left out, could be disappointing with seeding.
All right.
Please could mean exceeded the seed line. Maybe got in and didn't think was going to get in, whatever. All
right. So as we wrap up, here's my answer to that. Most disappointed is going to be Vanderbilt because I think Vanderbilt fans and look, we said it. We said we think they're closer than people think. But I think they're going to be most disappointed when they realize that maybe if they don't, even if they win a couple games. So like in that scenario, let's say they win a couple games, right? I think they're still going to be disappointed because if they get left out at that point, then to me, that's the one. Disappointed. Most pleased. I am telling you right now, I think the most pleased team based on seeding projections.
I think I know where you're going, and I think I will go there too.
I think it's going to be Missouri.
I do too.
I think Missouri is going to be seeded better than people think. So I will go Missouri for most pleased. Because here's the thing too, Missouri fans. I said this today. You want to be a 7 or a 10. If you're a 10 seed, you may be disappointed at your seed, but that's better to me than being the 8-9. Because here's the problem for Missouri. If they're the 8 or 9, Chris, who are they matching up against? Houston, Kansas, or Purdue?
Purdue, or maybe UCLA.
I don't think you want any part of those. So that's why I think you need to be shooting for the 7 and the 10. So even if you're a 7, that'll exceed expectations. But even if you're the 10 and you're disappointed at the seeding, then I think you still need to look at it and say, hey, we're good with that. We stayed away from the 8-9. That's what you're rooting for, I think, if you're Missouri. So there you go. All right, we're wrapping up with our picks. Championship. Who's it going to be, Chris? Or give me your biggest upset, and then give me your championship pick, or your semis, however you want to do it. Cheers, everyone.
Tell you what, I've got A&M cutting down the nets, beating Alabama.
Wow!
So I guess that would be your champion and your biggest upset.
A&M winning the whole thing, huh? All right. I'm going Alabama and Kentucky in the final. And again, because the SEC is so unpredictable, I'm going to go what I think is the most predictable, and that is Alabama. So I'm going to take the easy route. I'm going to pick Alabama. I also think there's a chance that the winner of Missouri-Tennessee can win the whole thing. How about that? Because what I think is the three teams down there, Auburn, Arkansas, A&M, are all going to beat up on each other. No matter what the matchup is, I think that's a possibility. Get Kentucky. All bets are off in the championship. So, but I'm going Alabama, Kentucky. I'm going to pick Alabama to win it. So there you go. All right, guys. Again, we appreciate you joining in as always. Again, this was a first for us to be able to do this during the tournament. So the SEC tournament is here in Nashville, as we said. We're at Bearded Iris. Again, as we said, if you're coming to town for the tournament, Bearded Iris, that's what you want to look up. A couple locations. Again, find the one that works for you, either downtown. We're here at the Sylvan Supply location. They've got it all. So be sure to check it out. And as we said, we're going to try to do more of these in the future. And we will also bring our lights next time.
Yes.
That way we won't be in the dark. But, we said, hey, we're going to run with this because we know you guys are going to laugh your heads off at us right now. But that's okay. That's what we do here. So we appreciate it. And, yeah, Chris, we'll be back with more stuff to get ready for the tournament, all the reaction. We'll be there at the tournament.
Press row.
With better lighting that we won't have to worry about because we won't forget it because it's actually going to be in the building. So it's all good.
And
so,
iffy internet there.
Yes,
it's Bridgestone.
That is a good point, by the way. At Bridgestone, know that our internet's going to be a little iffy. It's not always the best. So there's a lot of computers in there. So keep that in mind. It's not. So just keep that in mind. But again, I appreciate you guys. And I will let Chris wrap it up because he always wraps it up. Otherwise, I just feel weird doing it. So yeah, there you go.
Thank you for watching. Be safe on your trip to and from Nashville. If you're coming, again, give us a shout if you see us on Press Row and we're within earshot. Enjoy your time. Thank you for watching our channel. We've had such a good time doing this.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a lot of stuff the next few days. We'll be trying to do some stuff from the arena. And we'll also, I think we're going to try to do a live bracket reaction. I will be out visiting family in Colorado, but I think I will have my stuff set up and time blocked off to where as the pairings are being announced, we'll try to do a live thing like we did last year.
Yes, we will.
Everything good, being good on my end.
Yep.
So,
all right.
He's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 14. Thank you to Bearded Iris in Nashville. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. We will